It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is a Swimming in Popcorn production.
Hey, welcome back to another podcast episode of Swimming in Popcorn, and I hope you guys are having an absolutely fantastic evening. I'm your host, Michael. We recently went to the theaters to see Strangers Chapter 1 and decided that this was definitely going to be reviewed and discussed on our next episode. We are currently in the middle of reviewing the Halloween 2018 film, so please continue to stay tuned in for the Part 2 video that will hopefully be uploaded in the next week.
Jesus, man. Get your life together or get out.
Eventually, I would like to get to Ghostbusters Frozen Empire and share our thoughts on that as well, but in the meantime, hold on to those
Sweet butt cheeks.
as we sit around the campfire discussing this movie and hope Jason Voorhees doesn't decide he needs an extra head to mount above the fireplace next to his mother's. So for all of you viewers out there that may be sensitive to spoilers and everything that could ruin the first viewing experience for you, go ahead and skip to the end of this podcast for our rating scores and final thoughts on the film. I know not everyone likes being shafted as much as I do, and I don't want you waiting around this video with as much anxiety as a prostitute in church hoping a spoiler doesn't pop out like a Blumhouse-produced shitty jump scare. So go ahead and skip there now.
Like, right now.
Any day now. God damn it, man, I'm telling you. The spoilers are coming your way faster than diarrhea after a double spicy chalupa meal from Taco Bell with a 12-pack of room temperature Rolling Rock, and you just won't listen.
Alright, so to address the big pink, slightly cute but also kinda sexually arousing elephant in the room, let's acknowledge that this is a remake of the original Strangers film released in 2008. While not an exact shot-for-shot or scene-by-scene remake, they left most of the key points from the original in to keep it from straying too far off from its source material. However, the writers have also given us a number of new things that, for better or worse, help this remake differentiate and stand out on its own. I was a huge fan of the original film, as well as most of the viewers that watched it, mainly for its simplicity of its premise and how effective the film was at conveying some realistic fear that us as the viewers could relate to. This wasn't another possession movie or an unstoppable killer like Michael Myers. This was a couple being stalked in an isolated area by three killers who took their time slowly tormenting them until the finale. The original film was so well done with perfect pacing when it came to the tension building that it never overstayed its welcome, in my opinion, leading to a delightful and satisfying ending, much like slow roasting meat for 6 hours in a wood pellet smoker or a nice handful of lube before the cucumber insertion.
What?
Anyways, I'm going to try and give an honest opinion on this film without comparing it too much to the original. Now, while that may sound pretty dumb to you listeners, this movie is only the first chapter of this new trilogy, and unlike the inconsistencies in the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy of recent, the 3 chapters of this movie have reportedly been all written together, and all 3 movies have been shot at once, so let's pray that even if we don't agree or necessarily like the 3 new films, they will at least flow together for one consistent and comprehensive plot. The film starts as couple Ryan and Maya are on a cross-country road trip for their anniversary. They are headed to Portland, Oregon, where Maya is looking for a job and hoping to move there with Ryan. At some point, they get a little lost and decide to stop in a small town called Venus, where they eat at a local diner. They are approached by 2 demonically possessed-looking boys handing out flyers and asking if they are sinners, and every muscle in my body just instinctively wanted to kick them in their sweet little faces. The Lord, Satan, blessed them with. Now, something is off about this town, and it gives off a very cultish backwoods vibe. Their writing, while not perfect, definitely gets the point across from the townspeople that outsiders are not welcome. The scenery in this diner is well done, giving a very rundown 60s environment that hasn't aged well. While waiting for their food, the locals start small talk with the couple, and it's revealed that they aren't married yet. One of the waitresses asks Ryan, "What are you waiting on?" after making a comment of being with her for 5 years and still no ring yet. He replies back, "Right now, I'm just waiting on my turkey melt." I personally loved his response, and it's in this scene that you can really start to tell that the people of Venus have something very off about them. Every question or comment they make seems to have some kind of aggressive undertone, and the side glare seemed just a tad bit insidious. Once they leave the diner and head back to the car, Ryan realizes it won't start. Conveniently, the drugged-out looking mechanic from the garage across the street happens to notice and walks over to tap on their window.
I don't have any spare change, you homeless shit, go away.
He offers to fix their car, but can't do so until the morning, as a spare part that's needed is a town over. Ryan starts to accuse him of sabotaging their vehicle, and I can't help as a viewer to actually agree with him.
Even if he's acting like a huge fart nugget in this scene.
The mechanic gives him an address for an Airbnb not too far from the diner, and one of the waitresses offers to drive them over since they tipped well. Once they are taken to their Airbnb cabin in the middle of who the hell knows where, they bring all of their things inside and start to unpack for the night. Maya notices the fridge is out while Ryan is putting his beer away and decides to call the owner to come fix it for,
you know, all the food they don't fucking have with them.
Seeing as how they're only there for one night. This scene did have a really cool camera angle from inside the fridge, and it was definitely very well done. The cabin has a very campy and cozy vibe straight out of an 80s horror film, and I found myself a little jealous. I've never had the experience of staying somewhere like it. The director, Rennie Harlan, definitely deserves some praise for his choice of location for this film. The acting from Maya and Ryan doesn't really have the pull to draw me into believing their on-screen romance, but at the end of the day, this is a horror movie, so they do a good enough job. As they start to make out, they are startled by the loudest cock-blocking knock on the cabin door. Ryan answers the door and it's completely dark on the porch, only allowing us to see the silhouette of a woman asking them if Tamara is home. They inform her no one is there by that name, and the creepy bitch from the Shadow Realm walks off. Ryan looks to his left and notices the porch light bulb has been unscrewed. Somehow this didn't alarm him whatsoever, but let's move on. Ryan realized he needs his inhaler that was left in the car and decides to take the motorcycle parked out back into town for it. Before he leaves, Maya asks him to grab some food on the way back as well. While he is gone, the woman bangs on the door again and Maya starts to panic after getting creeped out, and that leads to an anxiety attack. To calm herself, she smokes a big fat roll of
the devil's lettuce
and starts to play the first movement of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata on the piano in the living room. I mean, you can't make this shit up. However, above the piano on the wall is a hanging mirror, and you can see one of the three strangers, Scarecrow, calmly sitting in a rocking chair a few feet behind her, watching her play. It's a very well shot scene, and the overplaying piano theme really adds to the sheer tension of the moment. She takes a shower afterwards, and while she is behind the glass door washing her hair, once again Scarecrow watches on from a few feet away, only to disappear when she turns to look. Ryan eventually makes his way back to find Maya hiding in a closet with all the lights off. She informs him that she saw the girl from earlier in the home wearing a mask and shows him where the breaker box is in the house. In this scene, for an extremely split second, as Ryan flips the breaker in a downstairs closet, you can see more masks hanging on the wall behind some coats. Foreshadowing maybe? I think we have a mystery on our hands, gangs. He fucked it up. I fucked it up again. I'm so tired of fucking it up.
Foreshadowing, maybe?
I think we have a mystery on our hands, gang.
While they are sitting around the table eating, they notice blood dripping from the ceiling onto their food. While this scene isn't scary in reality, I began to notice just how wonderful the sound team did at bringing ambient noises to the forefront of the movie. The ticking clock, creaking wooden floors, water droplets all add to the tension of the film as it fills the silence in gaps between conversations. Just like the farts out of my ass on my first awkward date I ever had while trying to decide who was going to pay the bill. As Maya lets out a scream from the high heavens, Ryan runs to the kitchen counter, grabs a knife, and slaughters her in cold blood, ending the movie abruptly.
What the fuck did I just watch?
Just kidding. Scarecrow actually breaks down the door and begins to chase them upstairs, where they barricade themselves in a bedroom.
Real smart, guys. Real smart.
As he literally breaks the door down with an axe, Scarecrow stops and disappears. They use this as an opportunity to try and escape to the motorcycle outside, but just as they reach it, it explodes, lighting up like your local trailer park meth lab on a 4th of July. Scarecrow is then shown standing nearby with a gas can in his hand. Running back inside, the Wonder Twins continue to defend themselves against Scarecrow, Dollface, and Pinup Girl, eventually making their way into the bathroom where they barricade themselves in again.
Jesus, what is with this plane, you guys?
Using the crawl space across the door in the bathroom, they make their way under the house where Maya's hands land on a nail, penetrating straight through her like me and my foot-long Costco hot dog I buy every Sunday afternoon. Once they are out from under the house, they head to a 2-story shed where Ryan finds a shotgun and returns to the bottom floor to save Maya from an attack. He misses Scarecrow with his award-winning aim, but somehow blows the face off of the Airbnb owner shortly after, turning his face into confetti after mistaking him for one of the strangers. I will say this scene doesn't strike the same emotional chord as the original, as that was a best friend that was regrettably blasted like a wild turkey. Unlike this total stranger they have never met. Grabbing the keys to the Airbnb owner's vehicle, the two begin to drive away as Scarecrow rams into their vehicle, pinning them to a tree. Ryan begs Maya to leave as his leg is pinned under the dashboard of the vehicle. She begins the classic horror trope of the distressed young woman running through the dark woods all alone, where she is stalked by Dollface. I will say that once again, the sound editing in this scene is top-notch, with each snapping of a branch leaving us viewers wondering if each passing tree would hold a jump scare consisting of Maya getting caught. The forest itself was very well chosen for its location, and the cinematography during this chase scene was also something to give props to. It gave me this very isolated Redwood National Park vibe at night. Maya eventually hides under a pile of branches and dead leaves where she pulls out the Airbnb owner's cell phone to make a 911 call. She is eventually caught by Dollface and knocked out. Now, this next scene to me is the most frustrating one of the whole movie and plays a part in the negative points I'm putting towards the final score. Ryan, still pinned inside the vehicle, has the shotgun next to him. Right, guys?
Right?
Hear me out. While Scarecrow continues to ram Ryan's vehicle into the tree with his truck to crush him, at no point in time did Ryan stop trying to get his leg unstuck and just aim the barrel at Scarecrow and send him into God's DMs.
Holy shit, my brother in Christ, just shoot this damn guy.
And worry about getting unpinned afterwards. By the time he does decide to grab the gun and shoot, Scarecrow has disappeared. Once Ryan leaves the vehicle that he somehow isn't pinned inside anymore,
I mean, who needs logic when we have plot immunity?
he begins to search in the direction of the forest that Maya ran into. He eventually stumbles upon Dollface where he holds the barrel of the shotgun against the back of her skull, and instead of shooting her immediately, he decides to deliver some cringy stupid line while she
literally
dances in front of him. Forget telling her to drop the knife, forget telling her to turn around, just put some lead into this bitch's forehead and keep it moving to find your wife. Instead, Scarecrow comes from behind and knocks him out as well. They awaken to find themselves tied up in chairs next to each other, and not in the fun anniversary bondage type of way. After Ryan and Maya exchange their pleadings for help with the strangers and their apology towards each other, Ryan asks Maya to marry him. Just as she says yes, he is stabbed in the abdomen and kicked over to the ground, where Maya watches him choke to death on his blood. Crying and distraught, she asks them, "Why are you doing this to us?" To which they answer, "Because you're here." Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with this line and the way it was delivered. However, it does feel like they changed it from the original "because you were home" line, just to say, hey, look at me, I'm different. I understand the director wanting to make this film his own interpretation, but leave the parts that originally worked alone. Maya is then stabbed and kicked over as well while she begins to choke on her blood. The three strangers leave the cabin as police sirens are heard, and the last thing we see before the credits roll is Maya lying in a hospital bed, alive and recovering. After the credits are finished, the post-credits scene shows Maya sitting up in the hospital bed, unaware of Scarecrow lying next to her. All in all, while I can't say I enjoyed this film as much as I did the original, or even the 2018 film Pray at Night,
I know, shame on me for having no taste.
there was enough magic sauce in this film between the haunting sound design, decent buildup of tension and jump scares, and the director's eye for filming locations and cinematography that leaves me with just enough of a positive taste to want to check out the next two chapters for a conclusion, not just on Maya's fate, but on the world building of the town of Venus. I'm going to go with a 6.5, which ultimately would have been higher if it wasn't for an idiot named Ryan and his shit for brain decision making moments that could have saved his wife and himself. As always, stay munchin', stay crunchin', and most importantly, thanks for taking the time to listen to this video. I'll see you next time.